Okay. So again, my name's Anastasia Fletcher, and I've been teaching for 8 years in the early years. I started my career in London, and I moved to Dubai for 4 years, and I've been in Hong Kong for 2 years now, and now my 3rd year. And my speciality in phonics is read, write, ink, and I've been teaching with a few different phonics schemes here in Hong Kong, but my main training is in read, write, ink, and I absolutely love phonics, and it's my favourite thing to teach in the early years.
Hi, and I'm Claire Cunningham, and I've been teaching in the early years for 2 years now in our Sai Kung campus in Hong Kong. Moved straight from Scotland, and I was Jolly Phonics trained there, and I developed the literacy and phonics programs in the schools that I worked with to help to raise attainment. And in the EYFS in Sai Kung, I have been using Jolly Phonics and the Read, Write, Ink programme.
So welcome again, and thank you for coming. So our aims for this session is that by the time we finished, you'll feel confident to either start teaching Phase 2 phonics, or if you're already teaching Phase 2 phonics, you might feel confident to try some different strategies and different things that we do. We hope that you have a better understanding of why we teach phonics in this way. It's quite strange to some people, especially to some of the parents of our children, but the children absolutely love phonics the way we teach it, and they really, really progress quite quickly. So hopefully you'll understand a bit more about that. And we want some participation from you at some points, nothing scary. And sometimes we might want you to ask questions or to tell us if there's any expertise you want to share throughout, so please feel free. We will show you some teaching examples from us, some videos we have filmed, and we will also tell you about some keywords and phrases that might seem a bit scary when you're starting phonics and they don't know what they mean, so we will talk about those, and then we'll have time for questions or sharing good practice at the end of the session.
So in our first webinar, we focused on Phase 1 phonics, and that is to do with the developing children's speaking and listening skills, and it lays the foundations for their phonic work, which starts in Phase 2. So the emphasis during Phase 1 is to get the children attuned to the sounds around them and ready to begin developing their oral blending and segmenting skills. Phase 1 can be divided into 7 aspects, and that's helping the children to tune into sounds for those auditory discrimination skills, and also for their listening and remembering sounds. This helps with their auditory memory and sequencing, and also talking about sounds. This helps to develop their vocabulary and their language comprehension. We can split the Phase 1 into 3 sections, and we can focus on sound discrimination. So that might be to do with the environmental, thinking of the noises that we can hear outside. And in the picture there, the children are actually on a listening walk, and it's just getting them to really tune in to all the different sounds that they can hear around about them. Using instruments and body percussion, can the children clap or tap or beat the rhythm that you've created? Can they create their own and let their friends have a go at repeating their patterns? It then goes on into rhythm and rhyme. Can they hear words that sound the same? And then it moves on to alliteration. Which words have the same starting sound? So this is before we've even shown the children the actual sound itself. And we can also help the children by using puppets and asking them to find the object. So for example, I have got my pet's monkey called Shiloh, and I will say, can you find the k, up? And the children can choose between 2 objects. And they can also repeat that back almost as though they're speaking like a robot. And sometimes we do our robot arms so that we can hear every single sound in the word. And again, just to emphasize, this is before the children are even seeing the sounds or before they're even writing. And then lastly, it moves on to the oral blending and segmenting. And this is when the children can start to hear the sounds that are in the words. And it's important that when we're doing phase one, that it's lots of fun. It's getting children ready for their phase two phonics. It's training them to hear the sounds and to use their listening skills really well. It's important that in your classroom that you allow for lots of opportunity for mark making. It could even be like for children to scribble if they're not ready. I use different sizes of crayons for those children who can't quite master the tripod grip, and giving them paintbrushes, giving them stickers that they can start to make their own little books, using masking tape on the floor. They like to write their own stories or their scribbles or making their own marks. Having different sticky notes, just lots of different things and opportunities for the children to mark make without it being threatening. And all of this helps to strengthen those muscles in their hands and helps them with their core, because when we go into phase two phonics, we're expecting the children to be sitting for a period of time while they're being taught. For children who are not ready for that, they could be doing different core strengthening exercises. Perhaps if you have like a notebook, the children can lie on their tummy and be writing or drawing while they're in that position. Others that I've used before is having paper underneath the desk where the children can lie on their back and they can mark make up above. In our nursery, it works really well. They're developing their core strength by using squiggle wiggle, and they do that so beautifully using pom-poms and streamers and ribbons, and they copy the movements of the teacher, and this is for their gross motor skills. So before we even concentrate on those fine motor skills, it's about getting the children to move their whole bodies before concentrating on their fine motor. And we'll speak more about how we can promote fine motor skills within our classroom. So what does the phonics journey look like? So we have covered our listening, and now we're at the stage where the children are now ready for phase two phonics, and we recapped and we consolidated the listening skills while the children were still learning virtually. So now that they're back into the classroom, we are now ready, and the children have learned the first 6 sounds. So what they're doing is they're looking at the flashcard, they're knowing that this is a sound that matches the letter, and then they're having a go writing. And each of the flashcards that we show has a rhyme, so that the children can look at the picture and they can learn the rhyme, and then they can have a go at mark making. And we encourage them to do that using paint or glitter or sand. And when we have taught a sound, we then display it around the classroom so that the children can notice it. Phonics should be everywhere in their classroom. It shouldn't just be, this is the session we're teaching phonics and away you go into your play. So it really should be in every area. And after the children have been taught the 6 sounds, they can now recognise them. They're beginning to write, they're beginning to have a go at making some of their own words. And from the first 6 sounds, that's the at, in, so they are able to write those words sat and pin, and they feel really confident. And can't stress that enough about how much fun phonics needs to be, because it's just at the very start of their little learning journey for their literacy, and this is how they access everything. And also for children, they're able to then use these sounds, and we're going to be giving out reading books, and they'll be able to use those sounds that they've been taught by looking at the pictures, looking at the text, and identifying their sounds that they have learned. And we like to teach the first 6 sounds before giving out the reading books, so that then the children can go home and they have that confidence and independence that they can say, oh look, I know that this starts with that S, it slithered down the snake. Can you see it looks like a snake? And they might even have a go, the more confident children, at sounding out. But it's about not putting pressure on children and that they learn at their own pace. And it's about making it fun and engaging. And so that's what we're going to be covering in our webinar before we move on to the last, which would be how we get to that stage of the independent reading and writing. So just to recap, we are just at the very beginning set of sounds, and it's just been wonderful to see the children progress so quickly.
Okay, so I have a short game, and these next few slides are going to need either something to write on, or you can write on your phone or whatever you need to. So this is all about how it feels to learn phase 2 phonics as a child. So sometimes we think that children can learn letters and then they can just magically write. But to a child, letters are just a page of squiggles, much like this looks to us as adults. And children can really feel quite panicky and scared by reading or writing early on because they don't know what things say. We put a lot of pressure on them to read a word. We think that just because they've seen a word once, they remember it, and it's not necessarily so. So the writing that you can see on this page is obviously new to you. You may have seen these symbols before, but you probably haven't seen them written this way, but these do actually say words. Sometimes we expect a lot of young children, but reading is really quite alien to them, much like this is probably feeling to you. So we need to break it down and make it more accessible to them by being memorable and strategic and fun, and making phonics really, really part of their classroom and part of their early years life at school. So does anyone think they know what these words say? If you think you do, then you're amazing. But you can put the answer in the chat box and I'll help you on the next page to work out what they do really say. So now I'm going to show you some pictures that go with these strange symbols. And as you can see on this page now, the symbol that looks like an infinity sign is a sound for snake. The symbol that looks like the 2 arrows pointing left is an a sound for apple. And the symbol that has the wave on top is a t sound for tower. And then the symbol that's an X is a p sound. So I wonder if anyone can work out now what these words say. Does anyone want to type and feeling brave in the chat box to see what these words say? Feel free when you worked it out. Sat. Well done. Anybody else? Yeah, the first one says sat, so we can work out there's an a and a tap. What about the last one? I hope I've got this right. Passed. Yeah, thank you. Brilliant. So obviously this makes it instantly easier for you as adults knowing what each of these sounds are. And it makes it instantly easier for children as soon as, like Claire said, they learn those first 6 sounds, sat, p, in, and they can instantly start reading small words like sat, tap, pin, pat, there, and they get so excited, and it's just amazing to see when they can start reading those funny squiggles, which to them are not anything accessible yet, but to us is very easy. And as soon as you start seeing it be easy for them, it's just amazing, and they start reading really, really quickly. So once children have learned the first phase, or the second phase, but the first whole set of letters, which is this line on the 3rd bullet point, they really start flying and they really start being able to write by themselves. So phonics is really, really empowering to a child. They come to us in the reception class. Not many of them can read or write at that stage. Some of them can if they have learned at home in their own way, or if they are just really amazing at reading. But lots of them come to us, they can't yet read or write. They still get quite frustrated with trying to look at words in the environment. They're not really sure what they say. And then suddenly they start reading and writing words, and they write words that don't necessarily look like they're meant to look. So as adults, especially parents, find it quite frustrating and quite strange that the children write in this funny language. But to us as early years teachers, we find it amazing. And we know exactly what these words say because we've been teaching for so long. So I wonder if you can try again now and write these words, pretending that you're 4 years old and all you know are these sounds on the 3rd bullet point. So you don't know anything else apart from those sounds. So I wonder if you could try and write the word feather the word castle, the word table, and the word puppy. Just have a go. See if you don't have to show anybody, I'm going to type it on the chat box. Just imagine you are 4 years old and those are the only sounds you know. And just see what you come up with. I'm going to give you just 10 seconds or so. Or just imagine what you would write if you were a child learning those sounds. Yeah, fedder, yeah, good idea, fedder. That's what a lot of children write, is fedder. You'll see that a lot, don't we? Fed. So they haven't learned the TH sound yet, so they write d, 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 d. Okay, I'm going to show you the next page. You might have written something like this. So children either write feather or fedda, castle, table, and puppy. So they know the I, they don't know E yet. And they don't know that a Y makes an E sound. That's way further on. So, and this is absolutely fine to us. Ultimately, these are wrong. But we would never tell a child this is wrong, because we really feel that the children need to develop that confidence with writing first. Most early years teachers can try and decipher this kind of writing. Me and Claire could probably do it in our sleep nowadays. But we believe it's really important that they just get confident with writing, even if it is wrong. We don't tell them it's wrong. We praise them for sounding out. We praise them for writing a new word, for having a try. And that gives them that passion and that desire to write. And without hearing that they've written a wrong word, because that will just put them off writing, make them feel like they're silly, and we would never want to do that. We urge them to use their sounds, and we say a lot, use your sounds, because they do know lots of sounds, and they can write these words, again, even if they don't look correct to a grown-up. Children get so excited, and as you can see in the picture, this is one of a poster that a little girl of mine made about not throwing plastic in the ocean. She's a really, really amazing writer. This isn't the stage we'd expect children to be at, but she has already started using those sounds. So she's written, turtle is sick, no rubbish in ocean, and rubbish in bin. So she's tried herself, no one's helped her, and this is just so empowering for, she's only just turned 4, she can already write and make this amazing poster. So I was really, really proud of her for doing that at home during virtual school. So we teach phase 2 phonics in a mix of different schemes. So we use Read, Write, Ink, which again is what I'm trained in, which people might have heard of. We use Jolly Phonics, and we use letters and sounds. And so we mix them for either the letter formation. We use Read, Write, Ink letter formation. And so they have a rhyme for each letter, like made to mount a mountain, or round the apple down the leaf. And it helps the children to remember what the letters look like. Then we use Jolly Phonics for the action and the sound that goes with that. So for example, today we were teaching n, and n is like an aeroplane, so you look like you're flying an aeroplane and you go n. And then we use letters and sounds to plan how we're going to teach the children. So you mix it all together. There's no set way. And we teach phonics 3 to 4 times a week. So we might teach 3 actual carpet sessions of new sounds, and then 1 lesson consolidating what they've learned. So we're going, because we've taught 6 sounds now, we're going to start blending with them soon. So teaching them how to actually read. So we might teach a few sounds in a week and then do some blending with some new letters. And before you know it, they can just read so many words. They can just start reading an infinite number of words that you can write with these sounds. So that consolidation lesson gives them the chance to start reading and writing. And phonics should really be part of the classroom. We'll go into this a bit further. It shouldn't just be teaching a lesson like Claire said and then they don't look at it again. It should be everywhere in the classroom. So everything you do with the children, even if you're doing another carpet session, say maths or understanding the world, every time you write something on the board, you can reiterate the sound, so the way the sound looks, or the blending with new sounds. And we have phonics display boards in the classroom for children's learning. So whenever they've got something else to add to the journey, we put it up on the wall so they can see the progress they're making. And we even do things like have small flashcards, so we can just show the children when they're lining up, just to remember what we've taught that day. And flashcards and sound charts all around the room, so the children can always access it wherever they are. We want writing to be part of the classroom, so we don't have necessarily one writing area. The writing is everywhere in the classroom, and everywhere the children look, they can access something to write on, to write with, to help them to remember the sounds. So yeah, writing is really part of the culture of the classroom.
So the structure of our phonics session or lesson is the same every time that we teach. And so we start with gathering the children on the carpet, and at the moment in our school, just because of the social distancing and to keep in line with regulations, we're actually teaching 2 groups of phonics instead of a whole class at the moment. Usually you would start with all of the children together before you would stream them. And so it's about setting those expectations at the very beginning. How do we sit? Have we got our lovely looking eyes and our listening ears? Show me that you're ready for your learning. And so what I do is I like to give the children a carpet space so that they just know this is where they come and this is where they do their phonics, and that seems to work really well. And we start by revisiting the sounds that we've already learned. So again, we were learning the n sound today, so just quickly looking through all of the sounds that we've learned so far, and the children have that consolidation. And then what you can see Anastasia doing here is she is teaching using the flashcard here, and this is their new sound of the day. And so before she even does that, she will have objects for that sound, and perhaps you might pull them out of a sound bag, or you might have a shiny piece of material that catches and hooks the children into their learning. And you start by modelling, oh, look what's inside my sound bag. What does this start with? It's a net, a newspaper. And so you start to put the emphasis on the sound, and then you have a go at doing my turn, your turn, and the children will soon copy, and they'll know if it's a stretchy sound or a bouncy sound. So you're constantly, during that teach, you are modelling to the children how we should be making that sound. And it's important, what I say to the children is, do you think it's a back of the throat sound? Do we make it at the front of our mouth? So again, you're exaggerating all of that, especially for our EAL children. And we found in our phonics that it was really difficult wearing our masks. So we actually have our special visors that we can wear just to show the children for those few seconds, just the shape of our mouth. And then what we do is we follow that up on a Friday, and we send videos home to the parents so that they can practice at home. So it is very difficult teaching the new sounds when we're all wearing our masks. So that's something just to keep in mind for the children. And for when you're teaching the sound, then you then get the children to think of some words starting with the sound, you play the games, and then you show them the flashcard. And each flashcard with the read write ink has an image, and the children can quickly see what the image is, and they associate that with the sound. And then you can play a fun game, where is the sound, and you mix it in with all the other sounds that they've learned previously, and then they've got to spot the sound. And that's what the children are all doing here, all engaged, and they're saying, there it is. So it's important then just to quickly revisit previous sounds, teach your new sound, and then allowing the children to practice. So what you could do is you could have them practicing on the whiteboard. You could practice on the teacher's board. Perhaps some children might be painting, and quite quickly, once they are trained to do that, the children can then start self-assessing, and some of them might put a circle around their favourite one, or they might star it, or put a tick. They might say to their partner, oh, I really like yours because you've formed it so well, or it's a great size, you've really taken your time. And really from the very beginning, we're looking for those children that are needing support or challenged, and you're using your assessment for learning strategies right away just to start differentiation for those children that need it. And then the children, what they can do is when it's their busy learning time, that's really just called their independent learning. They can go into the classroom environment and they could practice choosing whichever material they would like to. I know that the children in my class are enjoying when we put down like masking tape to practice. They've made like tracks, and they've written the sounds, their new sounds on that. Also, when we're practicing the formation, I have a long piece of paper and the children sit around and we all have a go together. And that's really good because then the children can see, oh, I've managed to really improve my letter formation. I'm trying really hard, and right away for the teacher or TLA, it's really visible, those children that are needing some more support. So we've got our plan here, and again, it's just we use the same plan, the same structure across all of our reception, and it's just about making phonics really fun for the children. And it's the same steps that we do throughout. When we're doing our teach, it's really about the teacher emphasising. It could be the teacher or the TLA, perhaps when they split into groups that are differentiated, and it's really about the children hearing the sound and then being able to associate it with the flashcard. And so we follow this every time, just that teach, the revisit, the review, teach, practice, and then apply, and then you're constantly assessing. And also making sure the pace of the learning. So at the moment we are doing 3 lessons of phonics, but that will soon go up to 4 because we've had the great news that we are back at full days, which is wonderful in Hong Kong for us. So that'll be really good to get that pace of learning. And as Anastasia said, now that the children know the 6 sounds, they are already beginning to blend, which is wonderful. And the next stage then would be having a go at writing those words.
We're going to show you a couple of videos of our teaching. It doesn't have any children in the videos. It's us doing recording in front of the camera. So there's a video I'm going to show you of me teaching a new sound, and then Claire's going to show you one that she's made for the parents to reiterate for them at home how to teach the sounds correctly. So when we are teaching phonics, it's always really, really important that we set those clear expectations at the beginning. And we have things like looking eyes, listening ears, useful sitting, and we do the same thing every time. It's the same structure. The children know what to do. The children are always ready for phonics because it's the same thing every time. And although it progresses, it's generally the same pattern and the same structure. We love using puppets because they're a really useful way to teach phonics. The children really engage with them, and they can be used to sort of talk to the children. But it is also really important that children see the shape of your mouth when you're teaching a new sound, just like Claire said, that we like to show them how our mouth needs to look to make sure they're making the right sound, which is obviously tricky at the moment because everyone has masks on. That's why we've made videos for the parents as well, so they can see at home exactly what to do. And then praise is really, really essential during phonics teaching, when giving them that ambition for writing, because there are so many sounds to learn and so many phonics lessons. It can be quite a rigid format at times. So the praise really helps them keep interested and keep it fun. And then we try to make it as memorable as we can, and make it memorable however you can. Playing games like Claire just showed the children pointing and saying, "There you are," when they see the new sound. You can make it fun and memorable however you think you can. Just needs to be something they really remember each day when they've gone home. The EAL children might need specific pictures or real life objects to support their learning, to make it real life for them, to make it accessible. When reading a new word especially, you might need an object or have a picture on the board of what that thing is, because they might not have ever heard that word before. So we often find that EAL children can start blending words because they've learned the sounds but they don't know what they mean yet. So it's there to support those children. And we're going to show these online videos that we have made, and we're happy to help further if anyone wants anything else shared after this. So these are just 2 videos. I'm going to move the screen along now because the videos unfortunately weren't working. Okay, this should be the one that works. So Bo has come to check that you all have on your looking eyes ready for phonics, your magnet eyes, and your listening ears, and your pure voices. Make sure we are not schwaring. Your voice needs to be pure for phonics. And you're lovely sitting just like Bo. So smart. Magnetized listening ears, pure voice. Okay, let's have a look at the sounds we already know from our other phonics lessons. Are you ready? Looking this way. Good. Super job. Excellent. Well done. And we know lots of sounds already. So what is our sound for today? Let's look in my magic bag. What do we have in here? Oh, I can see a net. Can you say net? My tiny little net. I can see a little notebook. Can you say notebook? So we have a net and a notebook. Oh, I've got a beautiful necklace. So I have a net, notebook, necklace. And my last thing, be quiet, little babies. Nest. There would be little eggs and baby birds in there. Nest. So I have a necklace, notebook, nest, and a net. What sound do you think we're learning today? What sound can you hear at the beginning of all of those words? You can tell your partner. Yes, we can hear and this is the action that goes with the pretending you are flying in an aeroplane, and it sounds like this. That's today's sound. What does today's sound look like? What is happening in the picture today? Can you tell your partner? What's happening in our picture? Yeah, there's a boy playing football, and he's the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper has a net. So this boy is called Nobby, and this is Nobby's net. Nobby is sad because he lit the ball in the goal. But it's okay, because next time he can try and save it. So Nobby and his net. And Nobby and his net are going to help us to write the sound today. The letter name today is N, and N makes the sound and the action is How are you going to help us, Nobby? So we are going to use our fingers first of all. We're going to start at the top of Nobby's head. And we're going to say, down Nobby over his net. Should we try it? We're going to go, down Nobby over his net. So the net is nice and round. And Nobby is the same height as the net. He's not really tall. He's not really small. He's the same height as the net. So we go, down Nobby over his net. Okay, I'm going to watch Claire now teaching the parents at home.
Today I am going to show you how to make the correct sound with your child and to show you the sounds that we've learned this week. So, first sound we have learned is S. The letter name is S, but we use the sound in phonics and it's S. Can you make sure that your child is making the correct shape with their mouth? What I say to the children is, there's a snake behind the gate, so don't put your tongue outside of your teeth. And we can say, slither down the snake. That helps the children with the formation. But this is the sound. The next sound that we have learned is and it's a wide shape. What I find useful is if you ask your child to look in a mirror and make sure that they are making the correct sound. So the letter name is A, but in school for phonics we say and it's their a wide shape for apple.
So Bo,
today I am going to...
Okay, there we go.
Phonics and the environment. As Anastasia said earlier, it's really important that it's not standalone and that we have the children have access to mark making and making words and their phonics all throughout the classroom. And the first little picture there, because it's Halloween, the children decided that they wanted to write on the table and mark make there, and the little boy had written spooky using his sounds, and they'd drawn pumpkins because there was pumpkin lights there. So right away they were wanting to apply those sounds that they've learned and start to make their own words, which was lovely. They were starting the labelling process. So it's important for the children to be able to know exactly where they can access their tools for writing, for example, their pencils or their crayons, and also maybe on notebooks or whiteboards or post-it notes. It's about creating that writing stimulus for the children, and there we have it lovely today because it's Halloween themed. And also the children were very keen to start writing spells and making their own potions. So that's what our focus is going to be this week. And hopefully, because of our objective about in maths, we can link the two where the children are going to be writing their own potions. So it's just about being creative, and we would recommend that you don't just have a writing table, that you actually put the writing and the material in every area of the classroom to access. Fine motor skills, we spoke about this at the last time, but just to go into it in a little bit more detail. So in my messy play in our classroom, we have got spaghetti, which is worms with lots of spiders and centipedes, and the children enjoyed using the tweezers to pick up and to put it into little pumpkin cauldrons. So again, that's encouraging the muscles in the hands to develop. It's getting them having that readiness for writing when they sit down. So it's about using lots of different resources to help the children have that readiness, being able to sit down and to hold their pencil and to have a go. So you can say that there's the academic skills with fine motor skills, that's using their pencils and their scissors, but also in their play, by having your construction, for example, Lego, Duplo and puzzles, train tracks, the children can also be developing those dexterity and strength in their fingers. The girls enjoy fastening the buttons and dressing the dolls, having zips as well, and other like fancy dress costumes for the children to try on. Then what I say to them is, if you're having trouble, why don't you go and stand in front of the mirror and see if you can have a go at getting yourself ready. And this is important when it comes to their self-care as well. Being able to fasten their buttons, being able to do their own zips outside, being able also to do their shoelaces, and it's just preparing them for those life skills. So also for their self-care, having in your role play area, like we've got some chopsticks just now, and we've got cutlery, we've got some containers that they can open and close, and all of those things help with all of these skills and that readiness for writing. We spoke earlier about some of the terminology that can be used during phonics, and it's just to, you'll see this in the plans, and we do speak to the children about these words in phonics, and as they progress throughout all of the phases, they then have a depth of understanding. So the schwari and the schwa, that is when you add in an extra sound at the end. So you might say ba instead of just b. The phoneme, that is the smallest unit of sound that distinguishes one word from another word in any language, and that is the way that it sounds. The grapheme, that is the written symbol that represents a sound, phoneme, the way it looks. So when we were saying to the children in phase 1, what sound can you hear? This is what it looks like. So the grapheme is the actual letter. A digraph is when we have completed phase 2 and the children are on to phase 3, they will have the double letter. Sometimes it's a double vowel, and it could be like their E sound or their U sound. It can be the sound as well. And then they go on to the trigraph, and the trigraph is a group of letters that forms one sound. When we are focusing on our phonics, and even at the beginning of our phase 2, we will start to introduce the children to tricky words. So these are the most common words that the children will access. And then once they know I, the, to, know, and go, they can start to form their own sentence. And these are the most common words that they'll be able to see in some of their reading books. So what we can do, we can provide like a word bank, if you like, if you think that would be useful, and you can have it at hand when you are teaching phonics. We've put together some phonics websites that will be able to help you. These are some of the websites that we use to complement the teaching of our phonics. Again, the Jolly Phonics songs, they're really good even just as a tidy up. They can go through this, the letters, sounds from the very beginning. There's tricky word songs that are really catchy, and it really helps the children to see the shape of the words and to just practice saying the words. The phonics play as well, and ICT games. So these are ones that we do use, and they have been really worthwhile. The Geraldine the Giraffe is good because it's got everyday objects in the house that the children have to listen carefully, and the giraffe will go and find the letter, or the object, sorry, that starts with that letter.
Okay, thank you so much if you have made it this far. We hope you've been helpful. So in conclusion, we think that learning to read and write is not easy. As you discovered earlier, children learn a few sounds and it helps them to write really quickly, but it's not an easy task for them, and it's something that needs really a lot of encouraging, a lot of praise, and something that they really will pick up quickly if they have the right stimulus and the right enthusiasm for writing. They need that confidence before they can do correct spelling. The correct spelling will come, it'll come quickly, usually in year 1, definitely by year 2, they'll start writing most things correctly, but even then, they'll be able to write long, really difficult words using their sounds still. They'll always go back to using their sounds, and they'll pick it up really quickly because they have that confidence. Phonics should be part of everything you do. It's not just one lesson a day. It should be part of everything that's in your classroom, inside, outside, and the environment is also a really good teacher. We call the environment the third teacher in the classroom. So there's us, there's the TLA, and there's the environment. So that should be it should have everything in it the children need to access to encourage them to write and to give them that incentive to want to write. There might be things like envelopes. They can write letters to mummy. My children write letters to mummies 100 times a day, so they must have a good stash at home of nice letters. But that's their stimulus at the moment. They want to write letters and they want to put something nice inside an envelope. The environment is there to help the children as well. And phonics should be everywhere in the school, inside your classroom and outside. We have chalk outside for the children to write on the floor. We have magnetic letters outside so they can make words. And those fine motor skills are really essential. It's not just about teaching them how to write, it's about whether or not they are ready to write. That readiness for writing is really important as well. So what's next? Okay, next session. So next time we will be talking more about phase 3 and 4, and the next step that comes after children know more and more sounds, that sentence building, and then the support for EAL children. That's children with an English as an additional language, sorry. And the importance of talk for writing, because if children can't speak about something, the chances are quite slim that they'll be able to write about it. So the talk is really important, and how we do that with children. And then what are the next steps? Once children have learned sort of 20, 30 sounds, what do we do with them? Well, we're talking more about assessment another time, but we might touch on that next week. And if you want to know how to support the children once they get really with lots more confidence and they learn lots more sounds, and what do we do if children aren't making progress? And that links to, again, to assessment and assessment for learning as the children are going along. We are going to start grouping our children soon because they've all learned quite a few sounds. So you want to really, really hone in on those children that need challenging and the children that really need supporting. So we'll talk more about that as well. So does anyone have any questions they'd like to put in the chat box, or if you want to speak, please feel free. Is there anything you want to say, anything that you don't agree with, that's absolutely fine. Anything that you think you can add, please feel free. I'll give you a few seconds to either write something or say anything if you want to. No, is that a good sign or a bad sign? Hopefully it's a good sign. If you want to ask Kate Erica, if you don't have her details, you're welcome to have our email addresses, so you can ask us anything else. Oh, you mentioned you use a mix of, this doesn't sound very fancy. Do you ever find that confuses the children? No, actually, I thought that would be confusing at the beginning because we use that here, and I've never used the mix before. We just really sort of use the bits that really highlights each section from those different schemes. So we don't use parts of the scheme. It might be one thing, like like this is what it looks like, this is what the action is, and then we use the planning, and the children don't really have any involvement in that. But yeah, thank you, that's a really good question. And we're not saying that ours is the best way, that's just how we do it. I have also just used Read Write Ink before in some old schools, and that was great as well. I love Read Write Ink, but I know Claire's trained in Jolly Phonics, so have you just used that before, right? Yeah. So I think mixing it as well, because we're trained in different things, means that we can share our expertise, and we can share those different really good aspects of the different schemes, so they don't get confused by it, long as we're presenting it to them and teaching it to them in a non-confusing way, I think. Do you agree, Claire?
Yeah, definitely. It's just about taking the best parts of the schemes and using that and adapting that to the needs of your children. And it's good because it's a multi-sensory approach, so it's just you taking the kind of the best bits.
Yeah, thank you. A great question though. We try not to make sure they're not confused. And we hope that their phonics session has, like you say, the best of everything in it. Okay, thank you so much. And we would love if you could give us some feedback by either scanning this, what's it called, QR code, or there's a website you can go to at the bottom of the page if you want to look on there. And yes, thank you so much for coming. Our next session, is it in 3 weeks again? Yeah, next session's in 3 weeks. And we'd love to see you all there. So thank you very much indeed.